students, now let's talk about the outer planets. That is, the first one is their Mars. It's actually the fourth planet from the Sun, and it is the first planet beyond Earth. It's also called red planet because its surface appears red. And because of this red color, we can easily distinguish it from other planets of the solar system. And this Mars is visible from the Earth for most of the year. Okay, because it is beyond the uh, orbit of Earth. And Mars do not show phases like the moon because again it lie outside the Earth's orbit around the sun. It's a small planet having a small mass, and it's very far off from the sun, so it's quite a cold planet. Mars is actually a rocky planet and it has a thin atmosphere as compared to the Earth. The thin atmosphere contains mainly carbon dioxide and with small amounts of nitrogen, oxygen, noble gases. And planet Mars appears to have the right ingredients for life. In scientists think that though the atmosphere of Mars contains much less oxygen and water vapor, but it could be enough to support some primitive forms of light life. But though no evidence of the existence of any form of life on Mars has been found so far, but yes, investigations are still going on. And Mars has two small natural satellites. Now, students, it was actually, I can say it is the Mars orbiter mission, or we can say Mangalyaan. It's a space probe orbiting Mars since 24 September 2014, and it was launched on 24 September 2014, and it was launched on 5 November 2013 by Indian Space Research Organization. They launched the India's first Mars orbiter mission, that is called Mangalyaan, and it is India's first interplanetary mission, and it made it the fourth space agency to reach Mars. In fact, with its completion, it made India the first Asian nation to reach Martian orbit and the first nation in the world that do so on its maiden attempt. Okay, so the next planet is Jupiter. So Jupiter is actually the fifth planet from the sun and the biggest planet of the solar system. It's almost twice as large as rest of the planets put together. And its mass is almost more than combined mass of all other planets. Its diameter is actually 11 times the diameter of the Earth. Its mass is about 318 times that of the Earth. It's so large that about 1300 Earths can be placed inside this giant planet, and because of its very big size, it can be easily seen in the night sky. But being very far from the sun, it receives much less heat and light as compared to Earth, as compared to Mars. But still, it appears to be a very bright object in the sky. And its bright appearance is because of the thick, cloudy atmosphere which is present in it, and that reflects most of the sunlight falling on it. And we can easily recognize Jupiter as it appears quite bright in the sky. And it rotates rapidly on its axis. In fact, Jupiter is the first of the gas type elements. It's mainly made of hydrogen and helium gas. And life cannot exist on this planet because it has poisonous gases like methane, it has ammonia in its atmosphere, and it is a very cold planet. And as I discussed with you about the satellites, it's having 28 satellites. Okay, and yes, it has some faint rings around it. So if when we observe the planet Jupiter through telescope, we can see four of its large satellites or moons. Now comes the next planet, that is Saturn. It's the sixth planet from the sun, and it's somewhat smaller in size and mass than Jupiter. But after Jupiter, it is the second biggest planet in the solar system. And the composition of Saturn is very similar to that of Jupiter. It's also made of hydrogen and helium. And one interesting thing about Saturn is that it is least dense among all the planets of the solar system. Its density is, in fact, less than that of water. And since it's lighter than water, so say if we imagine like we are having a large pool of water and we are having Saturn in that pool of water, it seems like you will observe that Saturn will float on water. It will not sink in water because it's lighter than water. And the most distinguishing feature of Saturn is the system of colorful rings which surround it. It's having three distinct sets of rings around Saturn, which are visible from the Earth. And it's the only planet with a system of well developed rings encircling it. And the rings of Saturn are made of tiny particles, like miniature satellites, we can say, because they are orbiting around the Saturn, like the planets are orbiting around the Sun. But yes, the rings cannot be seen with naked eyes. They can be observed with the help of telescope. And because of these rings, it's the you can say it makes the planet Saturn a unique planet in the solar system. And Saturn is far from the sun, so because of that, it is having an extremely cold planet. It is, and no life can exist on Saturn. And it's having almost maximum number of satellites of all the planets in the solar system. It has now almost 30 satellites. Now comes the turn of next last two important planets, that is Uranus and Neptune. Uranus is the seventh planet from the sun. It can be seen only with the help of large telescope, and it was the first planet to have been discovered with the help of telescope. Though the diameter of Uranus is four times that of the Earth, but it appears as a small disk through telescope because it's very, very far off from the Earth. In fact, after Jupiter and Saturn, Uranus is the third biggest planet of the solar system. And like Venus, Uranus also rotates on its axis from east to west. But yeah, as I had discussed with you, that a unique feature, remarkable feature of Uranus is that it's having highly tilted axis, because of which it appears that it's rolling on its side while orbiting around the sun because of its high tilted axis of rotation. And again, both of these are made of hydrogen and helium gases. These are extremely cold planet, and Uranus is surrounded by an atmosphere of poisonous gases, so no life can exist on this planet. It's also having some rings, but faint rings. Okay. Neptune is the eighth planet. It lies beyond Uranus. It's the outermost planet of the solar system. It's most distant planet from Sun, farthest planet from the Sun. Okay, and in fact farthest from the Earth also. And second planet which was discovered with the help of telescope after Uranus. And when we observe this Neptune with the help of telescope, it can be seen as a tiny blue-green speck, even by if we use most powerful telescope on the Earth, but still it appears as tiny blue-green speck because of its great distance from Earth. And Neptune is made of mainly liquid and frozen hydrogen and helium gases because it's an extremely cold planet, and again, no life can exist on both these planets. And it's also having some faint rings around it. So this was all about the planets of our solar system. In fact, till year 2006, there were nine planets in the solar system. The ninth planet was Pluto, and it was the farthest planet from the sun beyond Neptune. But in 2006, the International Astronomical Union adopted a new definition of planet. And Pluto does not fit in that new definition of planet. So, though Pluto is still revolving around the sun, and sometimes it crosses the orbit of Neptune, but it is no longer considered a planet of the solar system. Um, you will learn about it in your higher classes. So, this was all about the planets.